You're listening to SayconTalks with Sengbloh.
Hello. Yes, you are listening to another episode of SayconTalks. I am your host, Sengbloh, and I appreciate you for taking this time to listen to me today. This episode is being recorded in New York City. Yes, I am coming to you from New York City, and I just want to shout out all of the listeners all over the world who are checking out this podcast. I can do a little research, so I just want to give a special shout out to my U.S. listeners in New York City and also Atlanta, Georgia. And a special shout out for my international listeners. I have a few listeners in Liberia, West Africa, also some listeners in Nigeria as well. And I'm just so thrilled that through modern technology, I'm able to reach so many people. I mean, we really have Africa going pretty big. Shout out to my Algerian listeners, as well as a couple of listeners in Angola as well, which is really exciting. And the place that I spent a whole lot of time this past year filming the show in the dark, Canada. So apparently I have some Canadian listeners. Oh, and Germany. I can't forget Germany. I'm really excited about Germany. I remember when I released my first EP many years ago, and one of the first countries to really embrace my music was Germany. They were like, this is early, before YouTube was popping like that, but there were these sites, these music blogs and things, and I remember German music blogs, taking an interest in my music. So just a special shout out to everyone. Yeah, seriously, I really appreciate you guys, because you got to start somewhere. It takes a lot of, what's the word? I guess chutzpah. It takes a lot of pride. I guess some kind of bit of arrogance. I don't know. I just know I had to be pretty bold to decide to start a podcast. And so I'm so humbled by the fact that there are people who aren't even in the same zip code as me listening to what I have to say. So thank you. Shout out to everybody. Thank you to all my listeners. So yeah, the other day I made some, I guess my own, I'm working on my recipe for fresh sorrel. I bought some, I guess I could call it fresh. I bought some dried hibiscus petals, hibiscus flowers. And I am drinking some cold hibiscus. I sweetened it with some coconut sugar, a little bit of nutmeg, a little splash of ginger, and I think, did I put cinnamon? I don't think I probably need it. I probably should have put some cinnamon and nutmeg, but I did not. So, oh well, I'm enjoying it as is. I don't know. Those of you who may have been listening to the previous episodes may have noticed that I do tend to talk about what I'm drinking or what I'm doing. And it's usually in some kind of way revolving around health and wellness or natural something or another. So in case you hadn't figured it out, I am on a personal quest to, I guess I'd say, to add as many natural things back into my life as possible. Living here in this modern world, we eat a lot of fast foods. We drink a lot of sodas. I could say we, because I know I have at different points in my life. And I'm at this point where I want to see what it's like and how my body functions, how I feel what level of excitement and happiness and energy do I have? What kind of brain power do I have when I try to eat things that aren't like so super processed? So it's just like a little experiment. So you might see me on Instagram experimenting with smoothies or, simple things, making salad dressing, whatever, just trying to pick the places where I can add some natural foods or juices or whatever, because a lot of what we do is just so processed. So that's what I'm drinking. I'm drinking some hibiscus. Some people might know it as sorrel or sorrel. Some others might know it as bisap. I don't know. People got different names for it, but I don't know. That sorrel plant is beautiful, and it makes the sweetest, reddest juice ever. I have to study some of the nutritional properties of it so I can see what I'm actually absorbing. Hold on. Aw, snap. It looks pretty promising here. The hibiscus plant has some amazing benefits. I saw that it's apparently may have allegedly may have the ability to reduce high blood pressure, high cholesterol, inflammatory problems. It's good for a disturbed digestive and immune system, and can potentially help and treat diseases of the liver and cancer. Hibiscus, this thing talks about hibiscus tea may also speed up the metabolism. It can be linked with better mental health. It's rich in vitamin C, minerals, and antioxidants. I saw somewhere, I was just clicking around, and I saw that it was high in manganese as well. And a lot of times we talk about magnesium, we talk about calcium, we talk about iron. There's a lot of minerals and things that we talk about, but we never talk about manganese. So it looks like manganese is like really important for oxidative stress. It's something that helps protect against oxidative stress. It's good for brain function, bones, fertility, protects against diabetes, and maybe beneficial against diabetes and metabolic syndrome is what it says. So, hey, whenever you're drinking your sorrel or your BSAP, or provided, I guess it ain't got too much, crazy additives and things in it, hopefully it will have all these benefits for you. So I am enjoying mine. It is very tasty. And we're back. This episode, I want to talk about something that's I guess it could be considered a very serious topic, or maybe not serious at all, and just a basic part of life, a fact of life. I want to talk about grief on this episode. Many of us have lost loved ones, or we have lost relationships. We've lost jobs. We've lost homes. We've lost pets. We've lost, any number of favorite things or things that were close to us or that were of importance. But I think one of the toughest things is to lose a person that you admire, value, respect, or love. It's taken me some time to make this episode. I knew that it was something that I wanted to talk about. But I think probably due to conversations I had with different people, friends, family members, I hesitated against, talking about certain topics because everybody just has so many different opinions and feelings about it. But hey, it's SayconTalks, and you're listening to SayconTalks, so I'm going to talk about my views and my opinions, my feelings about grief. Grief. Have you ever heard of what people, I guess, would call the 7 stages of grief? The 7 stages of grief explained are disbelief and shock, denial, guilt and pain, bargaining, anger, depression, and acceptance. Now, this is a pop culture reference, I guess, that is one that people use to explain the process of grieving. And I guess, I'm probably talking about it from a technical type of term, a technical viewpoint, I guess, when really it's been emotion that has sparked this feeling in me over the past couple of weeks. To the American public and the world public, we lost a great artist and a really interesting and fascinating philanthropist known by the name of Nipsey Hussle. He was born as Ermias Askedom, and we on different coasts knew of him in different ways. Some people knew him as a rapper. Some people knew him, famously as one half of the power couple with Lauren London, being on social media, being on the blogs, being at events. And then some of us also knew him and her as leaders and people who really push forward the movement toward natural living, toward plant-based lifestyle and foods. And that's one of the things that I mostly saw him doing in the recent years, talking about that, talking about business. I saw him on the Breakfast Club. I've always had a really strong entrepreneurial spirit. And so Nipsey Hussle was somebody that I see on the Breakfast Club and felt really inspired by. This same week, or within the same month, I had a more personal loss when my friend and co-star from Aida and also Motown the Musical, Eric LaJuan Summers, lost his long battle with cancer, and he transitioned. And so here in New York and also in St. Louis, there are people who are also experiencing grief. Eric was an amazing performer, a really enchanted and turned up human being, always full of life, super full of jokes, sarcasm, laughter, and beauty. He was a very good looking man. And he was very proudful. I don't even know if that's the right word, prideful. He was very proud. Forgive me, you guys, it's late. But he was very proud to be himself. I mean, you could catch Eric singing at, galas and different types of events. Whenever somebody needed somebody to be singing a song, and I'm talking about singing a song, Eric sang his face off. He danced his face off. He was so talented, and he was just a fun guy, a fun sport to be around. And so here I am experiencing a personal grief, and that I don't want to give the wrong impression that Eric and I were like the best of friends or anything like that, because we weren't. We were not best friends. We were, co-workers, associates, friends in that manner. But his loss affected me greatly. Eric was from St. Louis, Missouri, and he sang like a dream. And I first met him on the Broadway show Aida. And we were in that show together. We did that show 8 times a week. Sometimes I was not doing 8 times a week. I was a standby at one point, and then I was the quote-unquote interim Aida in between when they had some R&B and pop stars playing the role of Aida. And Eric was playing the role of Merab. And he was just so proud and he was so good. And I remember taking him to dinner when he first came to New York, really mainly because I just wish somebody would have done that with me. You know, I've always had this spirit to make me want to try to help welcome people and make them feel comfortable. Probably because I feel so uncomfortable in a lot of social circumstances. But we went to eat and we talked, and I don't know that I met someone who was more excited and more clear about, knowing that he was meant to be a performer, meant to be on Broadway. So at the same time that we're bearing witness to Eric's life and Eric's passing, his transition, life and, modern life has to go on. But what I was finding was, it was just difficult because I'm starting a new job or a new show in rehearsal every day, and literally found out about his passing. And, I had to head on down to the theater. So I took some time to just focus on my work, and I hadn't done any podcasts. But I wrote something on Instagram, so I'm going to read it now. Grief is a thing, and it has been given no space in this modern life. Whitney Houston said she wanted to move to an island and sell coconuts. I knew what she meant, and I believe her. Many don't value this type of thing, so they think it's a play on words, but it's truth. This 24-hour modern life cycle leaves no room for breath and no room for proper grief. Eric LaJuan Summers, I speak your name. You are a star. I really thought you were going to beat this thing. So many of us were blessed by your shine, but there was so much more. I remember when you came to Aida as Merab, and I felt new with you as I was still adjusting to New York. Even then, we had welcome dinner, and you always reminded me of that. I remember how you liked your hair slick, and you sang, "How I Know You," and called out to me, "Princess." Look at us, Merab and Aida, 2 Nubians on stage representing black royalty stolen to faraway lands. I speak your name, Eric LaJuan. Every time you opened your mouth to sing, you slayed every note. We did not keep in touch always, but we shared this incredible experience and many more on other stages, readings, workshops, labs, #Motown. From hometown travel to New York, from faraway cities, to pursue this dream and make it look easy. Folks think it's easy. Blessings to your family. There are only a handful who love to do what they do on your level. I wonder how you will return. You put it all out there at every performance, every vocal, every dance step, until we meet again. Saturday Night Musings. So I just posted that on Instagram a few days ago, and along with some of the cherry blossom photos that I was enjoying and admiring. I just wanted to read that because processing grief in this modern life where you have to go to work every day, let me say this, everybody's different, right? I've noticed and noted how many of us have been publicly grieving the passing of Nipsey Hussle as an artist that was admired, as an entrepreneur whose work was admired. And I see many people collectively mourning his passing. Social media has played a big part in that. People are able to post their feelings, post quotes, post old videos of him, post videos of the work that he was doing and the things that he was talking about. And a lot of that is, I guess it's therapeutic, and I'm grateful for social media for people being able to do that. But, everybody functions differently, and I know myself, and whether it be specifically talking about this situation with Eric or whomever, I know myself, and I feel the old school spirit in me. That's why I call my Instagram page Vintage Pop Soul. Erykah Badu would say analog girl in a digital world. I feel very analog in my spirit, and I just, I recognize the need to have grief. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. A lot of people are making jokes. A lot of people got mad, over some of the jokes. The young rapper Kodak Black made some comments about Nipsey Hussle's beloved Lauren London, about wanting to get with her, and it made a lot of people angry because different generations have different levels of I guess propriety, whatever they deem appropriate when it comes to talking about loved ones or discussing grief or interacting with people who are grieving. And so people were going hard. I saw T.I., I saw a lot of people in the music industry, and then just also, everyday, day-to-day people making their comments about that because they didn't want to feel like there was some heavy disrespect going on because they respected Nipsey Hussle so much. We all grieve differently. There's so many different celebrations that people do with homegoing or, memorial services and things that people do to celebrate and uplift, be it funerals or, big band type of celebrations, parties, repast, dinners, talks, music. People express themselves in their grief in a lot of different ways. We'll be right back. Yes. People grieve in a lot of different ways. Some people cry. Some people get really angry. They break their own stuff. People destroy things, take it out on other people. The sense of hopelessness that they might feel. I don't know. Think about for yourself the different ways that you may have experienced grief. I know for myself, I am a very sensitive person, what some might call an empath, very empathic, very empathetic. And so when a great loss is experienced, I can relate on certain levels to the emotion of it and the feeling of it, my brother is always cautioning me to keep it moving and get on with life. But you got to be yourself. You got to recognize your own way of being. And I know for myself, I have to just take my time to let out what I'm feeling. A lot of us don't even take the time to grieve. Like, think about the last time you went through something horrible in terms of like a relationship even, or a loss of a job even. Did you grieve the last time you lost a job, or the last time something ended that you really wanted to continue? Or even if something ended that you didn't want to continue, but you just didn't know how to readjust, I'm working on that. Being an actor, man, let me tell you, as an actress, actor, whatever you want to call it, I say call me whichever, as long as you call me. You find yourself going through little mini grieving processes back to back. Every time you start and end a project, it's like a little baby that you get to raise and create. And then when it's over, you leave it. You could spend, weeks, months with a group of people. And then when the job is over, and you're on to the next thing. And you might make small attachments, friendships, even just the idea of the regularity of having some particular project that you're working on day to day. What's the word? The routine of it all. And when that is snatched from beneath your feet, you may feel you are going through a grieving process. People, I would say a lot of actors, performers, singers, writers, whomever, they don't necessarily admit it, but they definitely grieve from project to project, or they feel some type of sense of loss, just trying to ground yourself again, figure out your new schedule, figure out what you want to do, how you want to be. Which is something that people experience when they're losing loved ones. I've definitely lost loved ones in my life, in my family. And it's no joke when you lose someone. I recently met someone who never lost anybody. Never lost a parent, a sibling, a relative, a friend. And I was just like, wow, It's so interesting. I don't think I really thought about it as deeply until that person said it to me and was looking at me like, wow. Because they couldn't imagine what life would be like without any of their loved ones. And I tell you, it definitely toughens you up, because it's a part of life. It's a part of the life cycle. We're born into this world and we leave this world, So yeah, grief is something else. My goal is to simplify my life and set it up so that I can have as much free time as possible to do with as I please. When you work with people or for people, you definitely have to be cognizant of time. And grieving doesn't really have a time. It doesn't have a set design for how you're going to feel it or when you're going to feel it. So just navigating this modern world, shout out to anybody who is going through something, who's grieving a loss of a friend, a relative, a loved one, a job, a favorite item. People lose people and people lose things, and they can be greatly affected by it. The thing that I do want to say about loss regarding the living, regarding us who remain, or you who has to go on to a new project, or whomever you are in your experience of loss and your experience of grief, is to remember to continue to push forward and to move forward. Life does indeed go on, and the feelings of despair or hopelessness that you feel now can and will change and become more bearable and more tolerable. Every time I've lost someone in my life, I experience that. And you never forget a person. You never forget whatever it is that you may be grieving, but you may be able to tolerate it more. And through the sheer action of looking for joy and looking for the greener side of things, looking for the sunnier side of things, you can find light and happiness and joy again. Here's to joy and happiness to anyone who may be grieving, even if it's bit by bit. For me, anytime I was feeling down, I would get on YouTube and watch one of my favorite bloggers chopping it up, or, listen to a talk show watch something. You know, a lot of people, we love the entertainment industry, movies, music, all these things, they bring us joy. And although nothing compares to the connection of really talking through your grief with a real friend or with a counselor, but finding some kind of way to take your mind off of things has been something that I've always used to cope with any type of loss that I may have dealt with in the past. You may have people in your life that tell you, hey, suck it up. And you may also have people in your life that tell you, hey, come over here, lay your head on my shoulder, cry, let it out, release your feeling, release your fear. You may have all these types of people in your life when you're experiencing your loss. I think the key, however, is knowing you and knowing yourself and what you need in order to cope, what you need in order to continue to live, pay your respects to your loss, and move forward, because life does continue. Life can and will and does continue.
Follow SayconTalks on Twitter.
Hi, this is SayconTalks, and I appreciate you for listening to this episode of SayconTalks. If you or a loved one may be having difficult feelings in processing grief, or may be having or considering thoughts of suicide, you can call in the United States the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Be well.
Search SayconTalks on YouTube for performances and video. Honeywax.